Yo guys, and welcome to a new review. Today I will be talking about Karate Kid Legends. Alright, so the universe granted us with another entry within the Karate Kid universe, and I have to be honest, I had never seen the Karate Kid movie or show before, right before watching this movie, right before last week actually. I think today, exactly a week ago, is the moment I first put on the first original Karate Kid movie. Since then, I watched all of them. I did not watch Cobra Kai. That's a disclaimer for this video, for this review. I haven't seen Cobra Kai yet. For those who are asking, yes, you can watch this movie without having seen Cobra Kai, but as it is mostly just a sequel to the movies, but I do feel like if you have seen Karate Kid or if you have seen Cobra Kai, that you might see some more details of this, and that some things around maybe Ralph Macchio's character, Daniel LaRusso makes more sense, but you do not have to have seen that show in order to watch this movie. So if you haven't seen it, just go watch it and then go back to watch Cobra Kai and then maybe go back to watch Karate Kid Legends again if that's something you are willing to do. I am able to do that because, well, the movie releases in my country in August. I was able to see it now in the Netherlands because in the Netherlands it released right now, exactly in the same week as in America and in the UK and some other parts of the world. And for some reason, in some other parts of Europe, like Belgium and France, it only releases on the first week of August, which is very odd. But you know, that's what happens, so I got a chance to watch it a little early for my viewing for my liking, so that's pretty nice. And I have to say, I am a big fan of this Karate Kid franchise. I only do think there's one bad entry within the universe, which is the next Karate Kid. But that being said, I now watched this movie. I have to say, I saw the reviews of it beforehand. I saw how people reacted to this movie beforehand, and I saw that that was not all that positive. So I went into this movie quite reserved, my expectations weren't high, they weren't low, they were just like, I'm gonna let it go through me, I'm gonna see what happens, I'm gonna see how I like it when I see this movie. And I have to say, out of all of the criticisms that I saw beforehand, I agree with all of those. This movie has major flaws. But on the other hand, I fucking loved it. I had a blast. Not because this movie is a masterpiece. Absolutely not. It absolutely isn't. But it was entertaining as fuck and I enjoyed the living hell out of it. So I feel like this movie might be one of my favorites of the year. Not my favorite. Don't get your hopes up or don't get your hate up. This movie is among my favorite experiences I've had this year, among my favorite movies I've had this year. I'm going to talk about it later, but first the flaws, because there are quite a few flaws that even I see. Most of that has got to do with the runtime, which is the shortest out of all of those, and I genuinely love a short runtime because then it doesn't take a lot of your day, you can just go on with the rest of your life afterwards. But for the story that they chose for this movie, a bigger runtime would have benefited, because there are just two scripts smacked into each other. That's what they send out. That's the movie they have. Like the first half of the movie is a Karate Kid story where you have the tropes of a Karate Kid movie, but it's not really the Karate Kid. It's just something else, and they do something different with the story. Like we have seen the Karate Kid origin story in, of course, the Karate Kid 1984. We've seen it again in 2010 with Jaden Smith, and they were going to do it again with this movie, but they also changed it a little bit. And that's very welcome. And the way they did that, there's this side story about this guy with a pizza place, and the daughter of it is a love interest of Li Fong, of the lead character. And they do some things with that story that are pretty nice, and they do some things that are pretty damn interesting. It's not at all as interesting as just watching Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, and of course having flashbacks to Mr. Miyagi, who is, for me personally, maybe one of the most wholesome characters in the entire universe, and everything that happens bad to him, I absolutely hated anyone who screamed at the guy, because I love Mr. Miyagi so much, so I am deeply connected to these characters right now. And it's not as interesting as something with those characters, but the story surprised me because I thought like, okay, when are we getting to go to the good stuff? And then the movie went on and on and on and on. And I grew more and more invested in the story they are trying to tell. There is some kind of boxing match in this movie. Yes, a boxing match in a Karate Kid movie. I know, doesn't make sense, but that maybe was the most intense fight out of the entire movie. And I loved that fight sequence very much because it made me feel all the tension of it. And that was really, really good. Then after that boxing match, they decided to scrap that entire story, to just split it in half, call it a day there, and then they go to the Karate Kid stuff, where Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio came back. And I loved that, because Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio have this kind of chemistry together that are completely on a banter level. They continuously banter each other with every little fun insult that you might think of, because one of them is for Kung Fu, one of them is for Karate Kid or Karate, and all of that together made for a pretty damn enjoyable second and third act for a second half of the movie, which really worked well in my opinion, because I just genuinely loved everything I saw. I loved all the jokes, I loved the banter, I loved the nostalgia bait. Yes, I do think major things of my enjoyment of this movie is a nostalgia bait, even though I am not nostalgic to these characters, because I only knew them for around a week, but I do think there's still some kind of respect and some kind of appreciation for that, for them being here, that I genuinely deeply loved. Are they only there to have some cameos, and are they only there for the nostalgia bait? Absolutely yes. Do I feel like Jackie Chan deserved to be in the story? Absolutely yes. He had a very good part in it, and he was written inside of the story very well. Daniel LaRusso, the original OG Karate Kids, the Karate Kid that's now 63 years old, by the way. The man doesn't look like it, but Jesus Christ. Fun fact, the villain of the third movie was a year younger as Daniel LaRusso, and he looked like 2 times older. That man's genes are crazy, but he was also in this movie, and it should have been like one of the most wholesome and beautiful moments to have him back after the third Karate Kid movie. Of course, I know he is in Cobra Kai, so we have seen him lately doing that same role and doing the role of Daniel LaRusso, but for the people who haven't seen Cobra Kai yet, the last time we saw this man in the role of Daniel LaRusso was back in the year that movie came out, that the Karate Kid Part 3 came out. So that should have been this big moment for us. And of course they tried to do it. They have it with Mr. Miyagi, they have it with Jackie Chan, and they have it with a connection they horned in because of that, like the Mr. Han family and the Miyagi family. They have a connection, a deep-rooted connection, which made sense, which was logic, but also was shoehorned in with a scene from the second part of the Karate Kid, which was fine, and which I actually kind of dig. I was like, okay, yeah, I buy that. That's okay for me. But then they have and add the character of Daniel LaRusso, and that's where the movie completely fucked it up, because that is the main thing that will get people very, very, very angry with this movie. Like, he is shoehorned in this story that you think like, Jesus Christ, how are they ever going to say sorry for this? He's welcome in the story, absolutely. He doesn't really work well in the story. It doesn't make sense at all. Like, they even say it, how am I supposed to learn this kid karate in a week? And then they do another joke, he looks like, okay, he'll do. And it's just not making any sense. It's just because, so you just have him back. There's no reason for it. That was like, maybe if he was on the set of Cobra Kai and they just asked him to do some scenes and then go back to Cobra Kai or do something else with his life, he's just not very good in this story. He doesn't need to be there. He is there for the banter he has with Jackie Chan, which is awesome, and he has some pretty good moments, which is awesome. But if he wasn't in it, it wouldn't have fucking mattered. And it's kind of the same deal, but with the 2 Peter Parkers that you got extra in No Way Home, done in a bad way. Like, they mattered. They were also shoehorned in, if so to say, but they mattered to the story and they brought the story forward. This one, they also tried to do that. They also tried to give them the No Way Home treatment, like, okay, we have Daniel LaRusso and he is actually building upon the story, but that's absolutely not the way that it worked, because the story that they wrote just did not fit his character to be there at that point to help this kid out. It did not work, and you did not feel the tension of it. Like, this kid needs to learn some form of Miyagi karate, where you have karate and you have kung fu and you do a mixture of both and fight with that. But it doesn't really feel necessary, because the villain of this movie, like the bully, the kid, also really doesn't feel like a threat. He is the most threatening out of most of these movies. I have to say that was pretty good, but the guy couldn't act very well. So that wasn't really that menacing, and he's also just barely in the movie because it's so short and you have to focus on other things. So that guy is split to the background and you only see him do 2 or 3 things maybe, and it's not all that bad. So you don't really get why he's joining the tournament in the end, or I may have missed it. And there's also the character of the mother that has been dialed back to 11, or dialed back to the far back of the movie, because they did not have place for her. Because for the 94-minute runtime, having so many characters doesn't really work, especially if you have 2 separate stories mashed together in a movie that don't really quite work together. So it all feels a bit shoehorned in, and the story is good in both its parts, but it doesn't really match up equally, and the villain is not that great, and Li Fong is awesome, but whenever he had to act like very distressed or very sad, also the main character couldn't really act it out. Like, there's a moment where something deeply traumatizing happens to him in the flashback, and you just don't believe it because it's not acted out that well. So yeah, there are some major ass flaws with this movie, but if I had to rate it based upon my personal thinking of this movie on a technical level, I would definitely only give it a 4 or a 5. There are some big ass flaws in it. But if we are going to my entertainment level, which is what I usually want to rate my movies on, because, well, I'm not a movie maker, I couldn't do it better myself, so why would I try to criticize other people on their movie making unless it's atrociously bad, like the Sony Spider-Man universe movies, like what they did in there with having the mouths not match up. I will break you on that. But I rate it purely out of my entertainment level, and that's something that I genuinely really had very highly of this movie. And I have to say, I had this with the entire franchise. I loved the franchise. I did not think I was going to love the franchise because, well, you know, I'm a blockbuster kid, so I like the new movies let out fast-paced and boom, 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 and everything happening. But I deeply enjoyed, like, 3 out of 4 of these original Karate Kid movies that are slow-paced movies, all the best, and they are very good at what they do. So yes, in the end, I absolutely deeply enjoyed Karate Kid Legends for what it was, and I will give it 4.5 stars out of 5 because I just genuinely loved what I was seeing and I was having a blast of a time. Is this a score that I will revisit every once in a while because I do think it's rated too high? Yes, absolutely. This movie now sits in around 5th or 6th place of my entire year ranking. It might go down a little in the end, I have no idea. For now, I just deeply enjoyed the movie. I loved what I saw the flaws of it, could watch through those flaws because I was having a blast of a time and I enjoyed the living shit out of it. So if you are just a decent Karate Kid fan, I would recommend you to go watch this movie in the movie theater because it's definitely worth it. It's not a great movie on a technical standpoint, but I genuinely deeply liked everything that I saw, and I'm not sorry for that. I deeply loved watching this. What did you think of this movie? Please let me know in the comments down below because I'm really excited to hear your opinion on it. Do you hate it? Do you also like it? Please let me know. Alright, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you and bye-bye.